Arkansas boy with a lifelong plan took the oath like his old man, then turned around proud and shook his hand. L.A. kid stood right behind, took a deep breath and signed on the line, while tears streamed from his mama's eyes. They hopped right up on that Greyhound bus, swapping stories. They laughed and cussed, and they talked about the girls that they loved. They made a pact, shined up their boots, got the call before it hit the news. No clue what they were about to do. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Finish This Fight Hour. This might even be longer than an hour. I don't know, y'all. This is my first Veterans Day as a podcaster. This is the first time I've had a chance to celebrate what this day and what it's about with a fellow veteran. And I you know what? There was really, to me, not a choice who to pick for this day. I had to go with my battle buddy, Master Sergeant Retired Barry Allen Jackson. Y'all are going to get a chance to meet him in a moment. This is a guy that I've sweat with, bled with, laughed with, cried with, sat in the middle of the freaking desert with. And this is what Veterans Day is about, man. And you're going to get a chance to hear some pretty cool stories. Now, most of if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably true. And if it points bad things at me, don't believe him. He's telling lies. But I'm going to take that opportunity right now. I want to introduce you to one of my dearest friends in my whole life, Master Sergeant Retired Barry Allen Jackson. Barry, brother, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Well, and there was no other choice. Now, I do want you to notice that we were talking backstage a while ago, and since then I put my man makeup on, and these sunglasses increased my hotness factor by about 50%. But I can't see a dadgum thing with them on, so I'm going to go ahead and come back to the podcaster, Glenn, with one eye bigger than the other one, blind, and one eye can't see out of the other one. How you doing in Conway, Arkansas today, man?
We are blessed, very blessed.
Well, I know that because I've known you a long dadgum time. I'm thinking we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 or 33 years we've known each other.
Something like that, yeah. 30 plus years.
Yeah, around 1988.
Yep.
So I was just like 7 when we met.
Oh, I remember baby Glenn coming in.
Well, Barry Jackson, it's Veterans Day, and we got some things to celebrate. We got some stuff to talk about, but I want the world to know who Barry Allen Jackson is. Let's start, man. Where did you grow up? Where were you born? What's your background?
Well, now, Glenn, you cannot hold this against a man where he was born. He has no control over that, all right?
True.
And it does not define him, but I was born in Chico, California.
Chico, California.
So, but I have some memories there, and we moved out of California probably when I was 9-ish, give or take a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And we moved up on the border of Missouri and Arkansas, and lived in Missouri for a little while, but most of my life was in Arkansas, and that's where I call home. My roots are in Arkansas.
So Chico, California to Northwest Arkansas, it sounded like you went from being a hippie to being a hillbilly almost.
I've never been a hippie. Even in California, we always lived so far out in the country, and hardly ever did we live in town. So I'm a country boy.
How country are you, brother? Because I think I know this answer, but let's talk to these folks. What kind of environment? Where did you grow up at in Arkansas? What was the house like? What was school like?
Well, I wish I'd have known that. I brought a picture of the cabin we lived in. We drew water from a spring. Most of the places I lived up until seventh grade, we had outhouses. And
Really?
yeah. And, you know, at the time, you don't know any better. That's all you know. And
Yeah.
so it was no big deal for us. But a funny thing is there was a time Dad was a carpenter and we moved to Springfield, Missouri, and we had a normal house. But as we're unloading, you know, us kids, my brother and sister, we run into the bathroom every chance we get, flush the toilet just to see the water go round and round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a new thing for us.
That's
But
outstanding, man. I don't think I ever heard that story.
yeah, it was a good life. Yeah.
Well, cool. So living in Northwest Arkansas, you grew up kind of out in the country. You had, did you have running water at all or just no toilets?
Now, once we got down to Northwest Arkansas, we had running water and toilets. But when we lived up in Missouri, we were just getting started. Dad was getting started. He was a carpenter, and we moved around a little bit. And most of the places at that time was just outhouse, and we drew water out of the well or the spring.
See, and that's funny because, again, there's no way in the world we've known each other almost 35 years. We're neither one old enough for that to be the truth. But when you hear stories about people growing up with an outhouse and drawing water out of a spring, you think about my great grandpa.
Yeah.
You think about the early 1900s and that kind of thing. But you're talking about in the 70s.
Yeah, it was early 70s. I think, early 70s.
Okay. What was childhood like for you?
You know, this is not one of those poor little me stories, but you know, my dad had a very, very tough growing up childhood. And so he was an abusive alcoholic, and I don't want you to think that he was a bad guy. He was a good guy. There was good stuff in him. But when he got to drinking, he got mean and fought a lot. And so him and mom, he, you know, was abusive to mom. Got in trouble with the law. We counted it up here. It's been a while, but we moved 19 times from what we could remember to, I think I was in ninth grade. We moved 19 times. There were times that we packed up and moved in the middle of the night because the old man was in trouble. And that's really the reason we moved out to Missouri, is because he was told get out of the state of California or go to jail or prison. So
the federality.
Yeah. But other than, you know, the alcohol, good dad taught me a lot of things, taught me to be a carpenter, taught us kids how to be strong, how to endure, how to overcome. So I mean, and mom was a good woman. She was a good woman.
Yeah.
So it wasn't terrible, but you know, when the old man got to drinking, he could get a little mean.
You've told me some stories over the years about that and how you had to grow up pretty tough. And I've met your brother. I can't remember his name. What's your brother's name?
Brad. First Sergeant Brad Jackson, retired.
First Sergeant Brad Jackson, retired. And see that, I think it makes me laugh because I think when I met him, he wasn't even in the military yet.
He was in the Marine Corps when you first met him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did 9 years in the Marine Corps and then got out and then joined the unit there in Siloam.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Glenn, he joined the unit there in Siloam and did 3 years in the Guard, the Arkansas National Guard. Got in little trouble with the section chief, decided to join the Marine Corps, did 9 years in the Corps, got out, came back to the unit, did a phenomenal job and ended up retiring as a first sergeant out of that unit and was a good first sergeant.
How about that? I can think of some first sergeant he was probably better than.
There was.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole, man, because we can go down a rabbit hole. We saw some stuff together. So grew up, it wasn't really Mayberry, you know, it wasn't Leave It to Beaver or that kind of thing, but had a mom and dad that loved you,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
raised you up and taught you to be tough and taught you how to work and that kind of thing. I mean, I think, do I remember right? You talking to me about there was a place you lived that even had dirt floors. Do I remember that right?
no, was never that bad. It was never that bad. Not dirt floors.
Man, I
Uh,
was thinking that for some reason. Maybe I just had a dream or something.
mm.
But I knew you were tough. And so around the seventh, you said around the seventh, eighth grade, you'd moved 19 times. What was school like for you?
We were in and out of school. I was really never had a lot of problems in school. Wasn't an issue. Now I wasn't a great. I was probably a C student, you know. Uh, so I didn't struggle academically. I didn't struggle emotionally or can't think of the word interacting with kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Socially?
I had a great time going to school. I love school.
Okay. And you, if I do remember right, and this one I think I got, you ended up playing a little bit of football up there in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, I never got to play. Never played sports until eighth grade was the first time played sports. Played a little bit of football for Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and then we moved to Gentry. And so from ninth to my senior year, played football at Gentry. Now we were a small school, but in my career we went 32-0 conference wins. We never lost a conference game.
Wow. And
So
you're still buddies with some of those guys.
oh man. Oh, my high school football team, we still get together every year. We rent a place, we spend the weekend together. We tell stories about what an outstanding academic student I was.
Well, yeah, yeah.
We laugh. We all look forward to this every year because these are some brothers.
So,
So
dude, so brother, I'm 40 years graduated. That's got to put you about 45 or 6 years.
81, 25, 44.
44, okay. And still hang out with your old football team. That's
Oh man.
amazing.
Hey, this was a small town. This is, we all talk in this town. We had the quintessential all-American high school experience. Just
You know,
good
folks watching
kids.
this may not get it. There's something to small town USA, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's some
Yeah.
really good things about it. And then there's if you're one that has any kind of a drama, there's some really bad things about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's a different deal. And so when we watch what's going on in the country today, which just blows my mind in the metropolis around the country, they don't understand the flyover states.
No.
They don't understand small town USA or
No.
corn fed farm boys or that kind of thing. What do you see as the difference, man? Let's compare it to today. Let's say you got some kids that's growing up doing those kind of things that we did, hauling hay, brush hogging fields,
Yeah.
doing that kind of thing compared to what you see in the cities. What did you learn from all that?
Well, you can't hardly sum that up in just a short answer.
Take the time you need.
I mean, dang. I'm not sure where to start, Glenn. It goes back. My heart is for young men to be men,
Uh-huh.
grow up and be a man.
Yeah.
Not this, you know, feminized male version we have today. But a lot of it comes from number one. Here's the number one thing: we kicked God out of the school in
Yeah.
1960, whatever. We kicked God out of our school and said, we don't want you anymore. And that is the beginning of the decline of the family, men, you know. But to go back to the man thing, I think what I mentor a few young men through the years, and one of the things I've seen is young boys don't know who they are. They cannot define who they are.
Uh-huh.
And I give them an example of, and I mean, this is it. If you were to ask me, who's Barry Jackson? Well, he's not a retired Army guy. He's not, didn't do construction, all this stuff. That's what I did. It's not who I am. And
Right.
who I am a prince of the Lord. I am a man of honor and integrity. I will not lie. I will not steal. And I will not be put upon me or my family.
Uh-huh.
So you can't sway me. I will not be swayed. That's who I am. So I know who I am. And this world can't sway me with all the lies and deceit and what they say is right and what's wrong. You can't fool me because I
Uh-huh.
know who I am. And so that's what I've taught my kids. And when I mentor young men, I teach them to define who they are.
Don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
That's exactly right. And I know what I'll stand for. And, you're not going to sway me.
Well, Barry, you and I had some of the same experiences as children because, I was working in the dadgum body shop when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And, in the summer, if I didn't work for Dad, I worked for a construction company my ninth grade year. Hauled hay, bucked them hay bales. I
Oh,
mean,
my goodness.
we were taught to work.
Yeah.
And at a young age, man,
Yep.
at a young age, now
Same
they
thing,
call
brother.
that child exploitation.
No.
Brother, I'm telling you, hard work ain't never hurt no young man. And let's take it even a little farther. The women need to learn how to work at a young age too,
Yeah.
in a different manner, though. In a different manner. Well, Glenn, that's just sexist. No, it's not. God designed two genders to be, and they're different, but they complement each other.
Once again, you can't sway me. That's a perfect example. There's a guy dressed up as a woman and he wants to be, called a woman. Brother, you ain't a woman and you ain't lying to me and I'm not pretending you are. So,
Go do your thing, but don't expect me to buy into it.
exactly. You can do what you want, but don't force it upon me and my family. And I'm not going to play your game. So you can't
So,
lie to me.
so Daddy taught you how to construct stuff and how to work, and then school was
Yeah.
good,
Yep.
football was cool, and
Yeah.
what happened after high school? Was it straight to the military? I don't even remember.
Nope. Quintessential American high school experience. Great time. Had a football coach who, in his younger days, worked the oil fields in Texas and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And so there were four of us boys from Gentry, and he got us jobs. So I graduated high school on a Friday night. I jumped into a car with a buddy, two other buddies. We drove to Mineral Wells, Texas, and I was on an oil rig that night.
Did you say Mineral Wells?
Mineral Wells, Texas.
Do you know that young man, and we're going to talk about this in a little while, that you met on the music video shoot that's going to get the exoskeleton, lives in Mineral Wells?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. So you know where he's from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glenn, that was one of the greatest experiences. It so much helped define my future. You walk onto that oil rig, graduate Friday night, on a rig in Saturday night, working with men. Okay?
Yeah.
These are roughneck men, and it's not little boy, it's not little high school. You better be tough and you better stand up for yourself or they're going to run over you.
Barry, that's toxic masculinity according to today's standard.
It was the best thing. It was the best thing. Man, and and the jokes and stuff. Oh, the tricks they played on you.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, but it made a man out of you and taught you how to stand up. And I know you're gonna get me, but you're gonna pay a big price for it.
Bro, let's dig into that a little bit. Let's dig into that just a little bit. So, what's happening in today's world is the stuff you're talking about, and I know what you're talking about. I mean, there was practical jokes. There was things that they would smack you and try to make you cry, or just do things that was just considered mean, but it was really not mean. It was good-natured roughhousing stuff.
Some of it, yeah.
Man, you go to jail for some of that stuff if you did that to these kids.
Oh, yeah.
But the difference is like what you just said. You got to be tough, and if you're not tough, you better get tough.
Yeah, you better learn how to stand up for yourself, or they're going to run over you, and your life will be, it'll be tough.
And guess what? That's still life today.
Yeah.
life will still beat the crap out of you if
Yep.
you're not tough. And you talk about you were given a head start by going through that then.
Mm-hmm.
You were given a head start for military, for life, for challenges and struggles and troubles that you've gone through in your life.
Yeah.
And it was a gift from God coming from Roughnecks. It was cut with F-bombing your beer.
Oh,
You
man.
know, it was disguised, but it was a heck of a training.
Oh, it was, yeah, it was a blast. I mean, it was tough. It was hard. It was, 108 degrees in the summer, 97% humidity in the winter.
Yeah.
The wind was blowing 20 miles an hour. Wind chill factor was 10 degrees. You ain't got a choice. You're out there on that floor making a connection. So
Makes a difference when you ain't got a choice. You know what?
yeah, yeah. So I
Well,
loved it. I loved it. Hard, but I loved it.
so okay, so you did that for how long?
You know what, Glenn? I did that for roughly 10 or 11 months. And then I got to missing this little brown-eyed girl back in Arkansas.
Oh, it's always about a woman.
Oh, this was one of the
Mm,
finest ones. I
you know
got to
what?
miss that little girl, and so I went, boys, I'm headed back to Arkansas.
You know, I got to tell you something. I know that little brown-eyed girl that you're talking about, and she is top shelf, pick of the litter, numero uno.
Glenn,
Amazing, amazing woman.
it really is. She's, God, they just don't make them like her. She is one of the finest little women God ever made. And she's
And
raised.
so y'all met in high school then, right?
Yeah, we dated in high school.
Okay.
And I
So
knew
10, 11 months. Now you went back and forth and saw each other some during that.
some, yeah. I came back a few times, went back to the oil fields, but this time I came back for good. We're gonna make some plans.
Was she still in high school at that point, or
Yeah, she was still in high school. I was 2 grades ahead of her, 2 years
okay?
old.
So did you wait till she graduated to make those plans?
Yeah, yeah. Now, here's the funny thing. I asked her to marry me. I told her, I said, girl, marry me, come out to Texas. You can finish high school out here in Mineral Wells, and, we'll be married. And thank the Lord, she was wise enough to say no,
Yeah.
because at that time, we may not have made it. And she was wise enough to tell me no. But I did ask her to marry me. She turned me down. So that's one of my stories there.
Well, there was a few challenges that you needed to overcome to be the proper husband and father that you were down the road. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, just maturity.
There was a little bit of a temper, if I remember right.
Well,
Maybe a little bit of a redhead temper.
well, yeah, it could be. But that, Glenn, really, seriously, it was, once I got married, God gave me a vision of my life, what he expected out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Julie and I together as a team knew what our goal was. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a goal, and it was to raise up children who would glorify God with their lives,
Mm-hmm.
who in turn would raise up children that would glorify God with their lives. And so to do that, we had to set an example. And our heart's desire was to serve the Lord and glorify him with our lives. And I think, here's one of the things that aggravates me is you got, a lot of times these young men will go, oh, what God wants me to do with my life. The hell you don't. It's written right there in the Bible. If you just pick it up and listen to him, he'll tell you exactly what he wants you to do with your life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that is, and I forget what verse it is that I use. I think it's, Joel 2, chapter 2, something like that. Basically says your job is to raise up children who will glorify me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other stuff is just ash and trash,
Mm-hmm.
Get wrapped around the axle. Do I become this? Do I want to do this? Should I be a missionary? All this crap. Just go do it. Make it.
Oh, that's deep. Say that again. Just go do it.
Just go do it. Make a decision and run with it. And if it doesn't do it, it's just like us artillery guys. and you adjust fire.
Left 5-0, up 3-0, fire for effect, baby.
Exactly. And if that doesn't hit the target, then you adjust fire again. And you just keep learning, you keep growing, you keep getting stronger until you hit the target. And that target is one day you'll stand in front of God and you will hear, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant."
Son, that's such powerful advice for a young man.
Yeah.
I see it all the time, Barry. I look around me, I see it all the time. People just not taking any action, whether they're afraid to fail or afraid to succeed, or, I'm a little bit like that. I'm a little bit afraid to try things, how I'm put together.
Glenn, early on, that's one of the things I taught my children and my grandchildren. You ask them, fear not. Over 365 times in the Bible, in some form, God says, fear not.
Yeah.
So go do it. Don't be afraid. Just like, I hate to, talk about myself, but, a buddy of mine, we got out of the 11th grade and it was that summer and he goes, "Hey, I've got a contact down in Louisiana. Let's go work offshore on oil rigs." Man, we jump in a truck and we haul down to New Iberia and we get jobs working on the oil rigs. Fear not. Go do it. Did it work out? No. I was only 17 and I wasn't old enough to work on there.
Yeah.
But it was an adventure. It's the same thing. You and I have watched this over and over and over with young men, soldiers, afraid to go do something, afraid to make a mistake, afraid somebody will laugh at them, afraid. Do not be afraid, man. Go do it.
Well, it's guaranteed there's a way to fail, Barry. And the number one way that you'll fail is if you never start.
Exactly.
You're never going to get anywhere if you never start. Dude, I can't tell you how many times I've failed in my lifetime. I'm 58 years old. It might be 58 times. I don't know the number. But I'm a whole lot farther down that road than I ever would have been just sitting on my hands.
Oh, yeah. And you miss so much letting fear hold you back. It just
let's go back just a little bit, because you brought some stuff up. When did you encounter the living God and decide that was the way you needed to live?
Grew up tough. Dad, it was tough. And I always knew God was there because I would run out in the woods, cry out, "Please make Dad stop drinking. Please make Dad stop hitting Mom." So I knew God was there. I knew it. But I didn't know. Here, let me just tell you a story. A buddy in school, this was 8th grade, he come up and he goes, "Hey, man, they're giving free pizza away. And all you got to do is go listen to this guy talk." "Hey, man, I want free pizza. Let's go do it." So what I didn't know, it was a David Wilkerson revival. And so went in there and listened to David Wilkerson. And I realized that Jesus died for my sins. And the only way to make it right was I went down and asked him to forgive me for my sins. And that second I said, "Please forgive me," I was clean. I was free, and I knew it. And my life was never the same. Now, was I a perfect guy? No, I still made mistakes all the way through. But he was there, and I always knew it, and always, was guilty when I did stuff wrong. Until the day I married that little girl of mine, my little bride. That's when we went, okay, now we're living for him.
How old were you then? In what, teenagers?
Yeah, I was a teenager. How old are you in 8th grade? 14, 15?
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So
okay.
That's my salvation story right there.
David Wilkerson was a very well-known evangelist.
Crossing the Switchblade?
Crossing the Switchblade, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was David Wilkerson.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you made a commitment to Jesus. And then that was enforced and became stronger when you married your little bride, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
God said, it's not good for man to be alone.
Nope.
Let's make for him a helpmate and put two and two together. I don't know that I'm one that believes that there's only one woman for one man.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a wrong woman for a man.
Yep.
And there's a wrong man for a woman, and you got to be kind of careful about all that. She got married. Wait, I was somewhere around 85?
84 when I got married.
84, okay.
Yeah, here's something, Glenn. Got married that little girl, and the next morning I packed her up in a 72 Pontiac Le Mans, and we headed to Alaska.
Dude, how'd you like to have that Le Mans right now?
Oh, love that car. So, it was another one of those things, if you'll allow me, Glenn, of fear not.
Sure.
I was building houses here in Arkansas, and a guy that I had built for before, he drove up on a job site and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm starting a construction company in Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska." He goes, "I want you to go to work with me and help me start that company." And I said, "Let's do it." And we made the plans. I dropped everything, went to Alaska, worked up there a few months, flew back, got married. Next day, took that little bride up to Alaska, and another adventure. But the thing was, no fear. Let's go do it.
Now, you say no fear. Did you have a little bit of fear of that little brown-eyed girl? I mean, I really want to know the truth because I think I know the truth, but she's been a good one, bro.
Oh, I know. I hit the mega million, the jackpot, when God gave her to me.
Oh, I've seen her jerk a knot in your tail a time or two over the years.
Yeah.
It needed to be done. So went up to Alaska. Here's the question. I mean, we're talking about veterans today now. When did the National Guard or the Army come into play? And you said, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that.
Once again, fear not. I came back to Arkansas after the oil fields and, was kind of resting up a little bit because that was 7 days a week. There were no days off. 7 days a week for, I think I was up there, 10 months, 11 months. And if you wanted a day off, you had to find somebody that would work 16 hours, work their shift and your shift. So it was hard to take a day off. But anyhow, got back to Arkansas. I was kind of resting up. I was in our local little hamburger stand playing pool. A buddy of mine walked in. He goes, "Hey, I'm joining the Army. You want to go with me?" Let's go. I put the Q pool stick down. We jumped in his car. We drove straight to Siloam Springs to the National Guard Armory, walked in and said, "I want to join."
So you had never thought about it before that?
No. Recruiter come over. He said, "Sign here." We went and took a physical, and I think it was 3 days, maybe 7 days later, I was on a plane to Fort Sill.
You didn't wait. Now I got to go back. You did not run this by the little brown-eyed girl?
No, just nope.
Dadgummit, boy, you did have some bravery there, man.
Man. So Glenn, here's the other thing. I thought I was joining the Army.
Yeah.
And so when I get to basic training, eventually the drill sergeants go, "Okay, I want my regular Army guys over here and all you nasty girls over here." And I'm looking around and he points over there. How the hell did I get to be a nasty girl? And I'm, what? And then, all right, I want my reserve guys over here, my regular Army guys over here. And you goons, you get in the back. And I'm, how did I get to be a Nixon's goon? Finally realized I had joined the National Guard and not the Army.
Woo! Woo! Hey, that recruiter's name wasn't John Dozier, was it?
Staff Sergeant John Dozier.
I think I remember that sucker.
Yeah. He was there a long time.
He was there. I was just thinking about him the other day.
Really? Yeah.
So off to basic training. Was it in Fort Sill? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Okay. Went through Fire Direction Control AIT.
Yeah, I was. Yep, 13 Echo.
Okay, came out as a 13 Echo. little mosquito wing private or something along that line.
I remember when I got my skeeter wings.
Yeah, and came back to Siloam Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah, second of the 142nd Field Artillery.
Hoo-wah!
Yep.
And came and started going up the ranks, brother. And that was in what year? What year did you go to basic?
I joined in 82.
82. Okay. All right. So that was before you. Oh wow, that was before you got married, even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you bebopped along and moved up into rank and had some good times. You had a couple of times that were pretty rough. I remember before I joined your unit there that summer before y'all had an accident out on maneuvers.
Yeah, Fort Chaffee. We were making a night move. We were 110 howitzer unit. We had the M110 A2s, 8-inch howitzer. We were making a night move, and anybody familiar with Fort Chaffee, you know it is dusty and you can't see at night, and all you have is your little cat eyes. And one of the howitzers, hey Glenn, let me tell this story. This chief, he had just made chief, and I think the summer before, he had just got saved. And so him and I buddied up really quick because he was a Christian. He got promoted to staff sergeant the same day I got promoted to sergeant. So he gave me his old rank. This was Paul Tanner. Staff Sergeant Paul Tanner gave me his rank, and I pinned on his rank when I got promoted.
Wow.
So we're in the briefing. We're in the convoy briefing, and this never happens. Nobody has ever heard of this before. Paul gets back to his gun, and he tells everybody that normally rides on the gun, you got your gunner, your AG, you got your number one man, and sometimes your number two man will ride on the gun. Paul told his crew, everybody off of the gun and get in the duck. Only Sergeant, how can I forget his name?
Sergeant Tanner and the other one?
Yeah, Paul Tanner and I'll think of it. But anyhow, the crew threw a fit because you don't want to ride in the duck.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? Why? He said, nope, everybody off.
Let's talk about a duck. You're talking about the ammo carrier that was tracked.
Yeah, the M548 ammo carrier. We called it a duck.
And it was, if I remember right, they were covered with tarps. They weren't hard top. They were covered with tarps. And if you're in Chaffee covered in tarps in the back of a dadgum track, you're catching all that dust. It funnels it right back into you.
Funnels it right back in there. So we get ready to make that move, and we're traveling around. Well, there was a slight curve, and we crossed a low water crossing, and the driver of the gun did not see the complete curve, and he drove right off of that low water bridge. The howitzer rolled, and it killed Paul Tanner, and I'm ashamed of myself, Glenn, because I can see his face, but I can't think his name.
I know I've heard it, but I can't help you. It's been too many years ago.
Yeah. So that was a tough time there. We lost some brothers, some, good Christian man, Paul Tanner. He was making a difference in the unit for the Lord, just by being a man and setting a standard of, no, I'm not going to the bars. I'm not going drinking. I'm not, So,
well, that was sometime around 87, I think. 87.
Yeah, because that was the AT. My first daughter was born, and then 2 weeks later left for AT, and that was the AT, the annual training where the boys got killed.
Yeah, because I came around the next year.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the whole world changed when Baker showed up.
Boy, it got good then, didn't it?
Let's talk about that. I mean, that's a rough one. That's been a long time ago. I know it affected a lot of people because they were still being talked about when I came in a year later.
Yeah.
But I think it was in July. It was July of '88. I showed up at your steps, basically, And that was pre-basic training, actually. I came and joined the National Guard, and I did it for a different reason. I did it because I thought I could make some extra money. And an old boy named Alan Strawman sold me a car and told me how I could make the payment if I just did 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm in. And so I signed the line. John Dozier got me too. Signed the line and came and showed up. And there was this dadgum red-headed, flat top. How was David described in the Bible? It was ruddish complexion.
Ruddy complexion. Yeah. Ruddy complexion.
Yeah, that was Barry Allen Jackson. By that time, the next year, you had already made staff sergeant. So that was in 1988. Yeah,
I think somewhere. Yeah, because that was the year I made E5, that AT that the boys got killed. Because Paul and I got promoted that in the field and I used his rank.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, you were up to E6 at that point. And I walked in, I don't know. I feel like I probably looked like a deer in the headlights. But do you remember when we met?
I don't remember specifically, but here's what I do remember. I remember when you walked in, immediately I felt, the first impression was, all right, I got a man and not a little boy. Doesn't matter how young, but I've got a man. And now I don't have to worry about corralling little boys. And you remember some of those that, got in there.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't about age. It was about maturity. And so
yeah, I was 20 years old when we met, I think.
Yeah. But I knew I had a man and not a little boy. And so immediately I could rely on you. You were one of the ones, what, some of what I say is you were neck up. You were smart. And once you knew something, how to do it and that it needed to be done, never had to tell you to go do something over and over because you knew it needed to be done. And you would do it to the best of your ability. You didn't half-ass anything. And, that's what I was saying at one time, Glenn. The other thing that was commendable, honorable, and I respected is you always thought about the greater good. It wasn't about you and poor little me, I got to do this or that. You were about the greater good. And so I'm telling you, guys like you made, leaders' lives easy.
Well, dude, it was easy being in your command. And we just hit it off right away.
Yeah.
It really wasn't even fair to everybody else, probably, how much we did hit it off. I came in as a mosquito wing, a little E2, because I had some college before under me.
But not only that, weren't you honor grad at basic and AIT?
Yeah. So I had a little bit different experience in basic and AIT than you did. They didn't separate us as National Guard or regular Army. And when I walked in, you had actually, Barry, took a big part in that because you prepared me for a few months before I went to basic on what to expect.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
So I knew how to stand at ease. I knew how to stand at attention. I knew these things going in already. And I just walked in my mind thinking, okay, this is going to be fun. This is a game. I mean, I've had the crap beat out of me in wrestling practice many times. I've been in better shape than 99% of the population through the sports and what I was able to do with wrestling in college, high school and college. So that part didn't bother me. Being yelled at, it was a game.
Yeah.
It wasn't serious.
No.
It was designed for a reason.
There was a purpose.
Tear the weakness out of you to the point where there's nothing left, and then build the soldier back.
Yep.
And so for me, I think I've told you this probably, but when we got into the holding welcome center, reception center, and that was kind of easy. I mean, you're there, you don't have responsibilities. You line up here. You're going to go get your uniforms. You're going to go get fitted. You're going to go get your stuff, throw it in a duffel bag, come back. Now we're going to go cut your hair. How do you like your haircut, son? Oh, just a little off the top. Okay. Get your hair cut down.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the good stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. And I'm like, man, this ain't what I was expecting a little bit more. And then they load you up when it's time to go to your unit. Load you up on a bus. Man, there's a drill sergeant in there. He's laughing with you. Say, hey, now you're going to get this thing's getting ready to change a little bit, and and then you get there and that door is thrown open, and all hell breaks loose.
Shark attack.
Well,
Shark attack. That's the way it ought to be. Yes.
Somebody threw chum in the water. And all hell breaks loose. And all of a sudden, I've been called stuff that ain't nobody ever had the guts to call me before in my life. And right in my face, I'm thinking I probably could shave with the spit that I was getting there. But I was ready for it. And you know that I've befriended my drill sergeant recently in the last few years. But
that's amazing.
It is.
That's amazing.
It's an amazing story. It is. So, but so they're out there and they're thrashing people. Everybody. I've been staying at attention, so drop and give me 20. You puke, get down. And I'm just there.
You got one in this ear and one in this ear. Yes, sir. No, sir.
And I'm just there at parade rest and not being affected at all, not laughing, not smiling, just standing at parade rest. And I started looking around through the corners of my eyes, and it wasn't long. I was the only one left standing. And then they were all on me. All on, what, you think you're something special? Just drop and give me 20, And finally, of course, I'm down with them. But you had helped prepare me for that. And I became the leader of that unit. And they made me what they called a PG platoon guide. Within a couple of weeks. They didn't do that until, a couple of weeks out. But
affectionately called platoon daddy.
A platoon daddy, yeah. I stayed that way clear through basic and AIT. Now, they did take it away from me once. I got caught taking a nap on break out in the woods, and Drill Sergeant Dukes, great big black guy from Mississippi. All I heard was, and I felt a steel pot hit me in the leg. He'd thrown his steel pot at me, and marched me out to see my drill sergeant. Me and this other guy that I was buddies with, Wayne Harrell, I remember his name, Wayne Harrell, marched me over to Drill Sergeant Timothy J. John. And Dukes told J. John, he said, do you know what your platoon guide was just doing? He was out there taking an and Drill Sergeant J. John let me say, Private, is that true? I said, yes, Drill Sergeant, it is. He said, you know what to do? I said, yep. Ripped off my stripes and handed it to him. And, all right, Baker, go get over there. And it wasn't 2 or 3 hours later, he walked back over, had me in his office. What do you think, Baker? I said, I have no thoughts, Drill Sergeant. You haven't given me permission to think today. He's like, that's why I'm giving you these stripes back. Welcome back to the platoon guide.
Yeah.
And that was the only time it had happened. So, but because of you, Barry, I was ready for all that stuff.
Well,
and the other experiences I've had in my life up to that point.
Yeah.
But I saw young men buckle.
Yeah.
I saw them cave. And I saw one young man, he was crying, and he cried for 2 weeks before he finally, apparently he had money. His daddy had money, and he finally called his daddy, and they got him out on the medical.
Daddy, yeah. See, Daddy said, nope, finish or don't come home.
Mm-hmm. I think it's different then than it is now, and I'm hoping with what Hegseth has done recently that's coming back.
Oh man, thank God for Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and what he's done with my military, bringing it back to standard merit based and get rid of. Thank God.
Well, here's what I'm going to do, Barry. I'm going to take a quick break because I want to show the folks that are on here what we've been doing, and you've been a part of that. You've helped me quite a bit with the launch of this foundation, helping to provide these soldiers that are paralyzed from the chest down some exoskeleton technology to help him walk again. So I have got to pull this thing up, and I want to share that with y'all. Give me just a moment, and here we go.
So I had a 60 millimeter mortar that landed 3 feet in front of me, and so it didn't cook off. And so it technically they would consider it to be a dud, but it wasn't a dud. It had a broken propeller on it. I got pictures of it. I carry with me and stuff. It's about the size of a 1.5 liter bottle, but it has kill radius about 25 meters, 20 to 25 meters. So basically, if that round would have went off, then confirmed dead would have been 20 to 25 meters. Been 31 months since I've been able to stand on even with a brace, or being able to take one single step. So it's been 31 months to the day yesterday.
And then God leaned in and he said, you know what? You're going to do a foundation. You're going to be the one to help these boys, and some girls, I'm sure, get to walking again, back on their feet.
It became so real when we physically came here and I physically got to see face to face to that unit, and knowing that, I mean, like I said, it's pretty much like an avatar. I mean, I felt like I, plugged in and we became one. Like I was breathing with it, like, I mean, it just incredible. I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't even describe the feeling that I have. But like, it was like deep down inside of me, it's like, you know what, I felt like I can fight again. I really am able to stand again, and I'm like, I can do this.
Like, I guess the sense of pride, like to stand tall, no matter what height you are. Not a jab at Glenn, but just to stand. Just to stand, I think, is huge. We take it for granted.
What's that?
I can get a little misty watching that.
Oh, I still do, bro. Did you see him lean in there and hug his wife? Mm-hmm. If you didn't know he was paralyzed, it looked like there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
But that young man's going to get a chance to walk again permanently pretty soon. That unit's going through FDA approval this year, and we got some people in the White House. I got a buddy that's in there in the Oval Office a couple times a week. He's friends with the head of the FDA, and he's going to help us get it pushed through.
Nice.
So, y'all, if you get a chance, let me just throw this underneath here. If you get a chance, and you can, throw a little something towards Joshua's journey at givesendgo.com/finish this fight. Givesendgo.com/finish this fight. I'm going to leave that running underneath us for a little while. So, dadgummit, I changed the mood. Let's go back to the other mood. So I went through the basic in AIT. I actually went through as a cannon cocker, 13 Bravo.
Yep.
I'd signed because they had a $10,000 bonus. But I never intended ever to work as a 13 Bravo because I was going to go to work for Staff Sergeant Barry Jackson as a fire direction control specialist. And I came back, and that's where you were hitting on a while ago. I was one of the only ones, I'm sure it's happened before, but I've never heard about it, that graduated from basic and AIT with a letter of recommendation from the battery commander to go directly to officers candidate school.
That's right. I forgot about that, Glenn. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the distinguished honor graduate, but also had a recommendation to go directly to OCS. And I don't know. I was told that was kind of unheard of, but it was one thing in my life, Barry, that I found that I was pretty good at naturally. And now never been anything in my life that I was great at naturally. There have been some things I had a little bit of talent at, but man, I had to work hard at them to be good. When I started wrestling in the 7th grade, I didn't win a single match that year. Not one. Not even close. I mean, it wasn't like I was close to winning. Not one. But old Glenn said, no, enough of that crap. And I worked my butt off. And by the time I'm a senior, I only lose 2 matches. And one of those is because I separated my shoulder. So I had to work really hard. When it was time to start singing after Desert Storm, God called me into the music, the Southern gospel world. I was okay, but I wasn't great. And so I went to Nashville and I hired some masters in the gospel music world to teach me how to sing and how to harmonize and how to present the gospel and how to do it in a way that was professional. So, but the Army, it just came naturally for me.
Oh, yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit. I came back and was squared away soldier. When I left, I was just a dude and came back and was just creases, creases, everything right. And I remember coming to the door where Sergeant Duncan was at, and I wouldn't come through the door. I stood at the door at parade rest. Sergeant Duncan, Private Baker, reporting for duty, and handing him those orders in the letter. And he was like shocked, man.
Yeah.
But I came back and we got to work. Let's talk about that a little bit. We had some good times there, man, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So that was 1989. I got back from basic and AIT in April, I think, of 1989, which was right before. No, that's right. Yeah, that is right. Because right before I joined, y'all were in Carson. Went to Fort Carson, Colorado. So I got in right before, like April of '89, and just like 2 months before our next AT, which would have been back at Chaffee. And you just took me under your wing, bro. You taught me what I needed to do and the things that you needed done. And I didn't have the rank to get on the computer. I didn't know what I was doing when it came to actual fire direction control because I hadn't gone through that school. But you taught me and gave me a leg up. Before I went to AIT, the secondary AIT, in 1990. But let's talk about some of our adventures. Do you remember calling me up and saying, Baker, we got some equipment out in the field we need to go spend the night with on a Friday night because nobody's going to be there until next Saturday. You want to go? I'm like, yes, I do.
We were pre-positioning.
Pre-position, yeah. And so I showed up and we got out there to the guns or to the bivouac location and all is well. We're just hanging out doing the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we even might have went. Now we might have went swimming in one of them swimming holes out there that night too. I don't remember. I think that was with you. If it's not, maybe I'm telling stuff I don't need to tell.
It's been so many years, but it's possible.
But I do remember some things that happened that night, and so we were in the hooch behind the 577, sleeping. And about 2:00 in the morning, I hear somebody go, Baker. What? Look to your left. And do you remember what happened that night?
Yeah.
I think you might be able to tell that a little bit better because I looked over to the left and y'all, this far from my head was a black and white tail doing this.
Yeah.
And there was a skunk digging in.
I woke up and I had to pee bad. And I started to get up and I heard crunching, and it was a potato chip bag or whatever. And looked over there and there was a big skunk and he was eating up all of the. It
was my dadgum chocolate donuts. Is what
chocolate donuts.
Yeah, he didn't want the white ones. He wanted the chocolate ones.
And I was worried that you were going to wake up and, jump up or move and he was going to spray inside the hooch. And we were ruined if he ever sprays.
Well, you say that, but you're like, grab him by the tail. No.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Grab him by the tail. He can't spray you. No.
Yeah.
And so we laid there. I guarantee you it was an hour.
Oh, at least he ate those donuts. He ate the Cheetos, and I had to pee. I almost just peed in my the farts in the sleeping bag. But son of a gun, yeah. And all you had to do was reach out slowly, grab him by the tail, and walk him out because he can't spray if you get him by the tail. So I'm somewhat dismayed at your lack of.
Whatever, man. I was a country boy, but I wasn't that country. I wasn't falling for that crap, man. I knew dadgum good and well that you hadn't tested that theory.
No, I've heard
it was a wise tale.
I've never personally tested it, but I was sure hoping you would.
And I didn't fall for it. We waited. I'm going to guarantee it was an hour and a half for him to get done buffeting on my morning breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast was gone.
Yeah. Well, no, we still had the white ones, the powdered sugar ones. He didn't want them for some reason. That ought to tell you something. If an animal don't want to eat it, it probably ain't good for you.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we had that time, man, and we had some time with Barrett. We had some fun times. We went out. Oh, I remember this one. We went out bowling one night after being out in the field. Went out bowling one night. Went into the John. You and I went in there, and there was a big old tall older man went in. Turned out he was gay, and he was peeking at you taking a pee. And you don't remember that, huh? Oh, I remember it. Yes, I do, because I gave you a hard time about that for a while. Had that old boy all stirred up. He wanted to know a little bit more about old Jackson. But just some stuff, man. Times, memories, the same camaraderie you were talking about. When you went into the oil field.
Yeah. Glenn, speaking of going bowling, that's one of the things that, you and I did is a lot of, when we got time off in the evening, a lot of the guys would jump and they'd run to the bars and they'd get drunk and they, do things they shouldn't. But what you and I did is we kept our section together. And we went played pool. We went and bowled. We'd go get a movie. We'd go eat a nice dinner. We'd come back to the barracks. We'd hang around and talk life and, talk about our problems and try to problem solve. But we kept our guys together so they weren't put in a position to be influenced by, some of the other soldiers. Oh, man, come on, you big, come on with us. So, it's one of the things that, you and I did was kept the boys together and we kept them away from, making a big mistake.
Well, you're right. And we did. And if I think back about it, Barry, we really only had 2 years that we served closely together. 88 to around 1990.
Yeah.
And then that's when you had the opportunity to go full time.
Yeah. I went AGR and got transferred up to battalion as the battalion NBC NCO. Yeah,
and so they shipped you off directly from that into a long AIT.
Yeah.
That was, 7 or 8 months?
No, it was 17 weeks.
It seemed like longer than that. I missed my buddy.
Yeah,
so
weeks.
So you got your, weren't you promoted to E7 at that point, right?
No, it was an E6 slot.
Okay.
I didn't make sergeant first class until I was able to come back to Silent Springs.
Okay. So you were promoted to NBC NCO, and if y'all don't know what that is, nuclear, biological, chemical NCO. Mm-hmm. You were in charge of the battalion's chemical training and preparedness.
Yes.
Okay. So that's bebopping along. You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing without old Barry. I'm trying to figure out a new chief that I knew more than he did, probably. And then November the 15th, 1990, my 4th wedding anniversary, I was working out at Foundry at the time, and we got a Raging Bull phone call.
Raging Bull.
And it was boys report in the morning to formation. We're going to war. And I remember in August of that year, I was at my secondary AIT school in Little Rock at Camp Robinson, Arkansas. And I remember looking through a window. Somebody had a TV on and seeing that Saddam had invaded Kuwait.
Right.
And I don't know how, Barry, but I knew we were going. I just knew we were going on that. And sure enough, and that's the first major conflict since Vietnam.
Yeah.
And
called Panama.
Yeah. Panama didn't last long. I'm talking about the real deal, war type stuff.
Correct. Correct.
And so November 15th is when we got the call, and off we go to Fort Sill. And I got to learn stuff I ain't ever learned yet in order to be, what's that?
We went to that new system, like TACFire off from BCS, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't know it. And all of a sudden, I've got a section chief, but I'm the one that's responsible for aiming and charges and all that stuff.
Putting together fire plans.
I had 2 weeks to learn that before we shipped out to Saudi Arabia. And we got it done. And we got it done in a good way. And by the time we got there, obviously when we got there and we got into Saudi, it was kind of boring. I mean, if we go back and try to remember, we landed out in some airstrip under threat of some sniper rifle aiming down on us, ThreatCon Delta, and then we were taken from there to some, what were the Quonset huts? Wasn't that the first, we did like 2 days in those Quonset huts?
No, I don't know. I went advanced party, so I was there. I flew into a different place and stayed at a different place.
Okay. So we went as a section, then went to the Quonset huts for a couple of days, and then we were shipped to the Kobar Towers.
Right. That's where I met up with you.
Yeah.
Was at Kobar Towers.
And we were Kobar Towers for, I don't even remember how long, maybe a week.
Something like that.
Wasn't a long time. But we had something happen there, you and I, that pissed me off about our military. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I am not one that feels like women should be in the combat scenario with men. I think it's wrong. I think it's a distraction. There's some women that probably can do better than some of us men, but as a whole, they're not capable.
There are some that are, what do you call it? There are some that are pretty strong.
Yeah.
Just the dynamics.
Yeah.
If you insert a woman into a combat group of men, and the dynamics changes. Completely
changes. Now all of a sudden we're worried about several other things. Yeah. We're worried about protecting them if something were to break out instead of doing our job.
Or the other stuff.
Well, see, and that's the other stuff. And that's what I want to talk about. We're worried about getting some.
Yeah. Impressive.
That gun, Glenn, that's sexist. Baby, it goes both ways. And so you and I were out in the common areas of Kobar Towers, and they'd set up some, I don't know if that was a Wolf Burger Shack or what that was, but we were waiting in line to get something. There was a couple females standing behind us.
Yeah.
And I'm an E5 at that point. You're an E6. And I just hear these girls say, "Hey, Sergeant, would you like $20 for some ass?" And I said, "What? $20 for some ass?" And I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the only time that happened, Bear. And you were with me. And we looked at each other like, what in the hell just happened there? Y'all, that's one of the dangers of having men and women together in combat scenario. Because it's being taken advantage of. Most women, I would say, probably most, that have gone through a military scenario that are intermingled with warriors, most of them can say at some point they were either abused, used, or tried to be.
Yeah.
And you say, well, that's just man's nature. Well, kind of, maybe you could say that, but it's also not natural to have them mixed together in a scenario like that. Golly, I'm going to get censored for this probably, but I don't care. We have different roles. It's not that men are more important. It's not men are greater. It's not even that. In fact, I think women are probably greater at a lot of stuff than we are. It's just the dynamics, the way God has designed us to be equal but different. And so you and I saw that. And then we saw several other things. And we won't dig into that too deep, but I think you might have been with me when we were on the 7th floor of Cobar Towers and that looking across and seeing what was going on in the windows.
Yep, unfortunately.
And, soldiers getting oral sex from a woman. It's man. We experienced some stuff, my friend.
There was
and
quite a few other
what's that?
There was quite a few other stuff.
Oh yeah. One of the coolest things I ever saw was the first time we were up there, Cobar Tower, late at night on the 7th floor, and all of a sudden we saw a Patriot missile shoot out from that area and take a scud out.
Yeah, quite a few.
3 to 5 kilometers away, something like that. And that was in 1991. And that sucker zigzagging through the sky, so accurate. Gosh, that was 35 years ago almost.
One of the biggest fireworks display I've ever seen.
Yeah. And how accurate, how much have we gained in technology in 35 years? You know? Let's go a little bit deeper. So we went on out to the desert shortly after that. And when I say y'all, we went to the desert, it was the dadgum desert. Out in the middle of absolutely freaking nowhere, probably 40 miles from the nearest street light. I don't know if it was that far, but it was a long way. Outside of a little city called Hafar-Abatin. And we had some memories from there, Barry. You remember sitting on that generator that night?
Box by the generator. Well, being the NBC NCO, I was had knowledge of nerve agent and how it affects the body, and saw some of the testing that was done on animals. So I knew the devastation of that. And at that time, we knew without a doubt, Saddam was going to use chemical weapons on us. And so, brother, that was the night we were moving out early that morning, and we knew at the time some of us weren't going to make it. And so you and I, sitting on that box, talking life, talking family, talking kids, and brother, we made a pact that if one of us didn't make it back, the other would take care of, look out for the family and watch over those kids.
We did make that pact.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you've said here so far today that I didn't realize the influence that's had on me in this career now in music and the song that I just released last year called Finish This Fight. And whenever all that took place, the General Flynn thing and doing that show and having the honor to perform with him, and seeing that Marine stand up and walk around after being paralyzed for 7 years, and he was able to walk with the help of an exoskeleton. And I knew I needed to write a song, and I was beginning to do that. I started talking to you about it, and you just said, "Fear not." I don't know where it came from. I don't know what the conversation was, but that stuck with me. And that is the first words of the chorus. Fear not, you won't be alone. And that was written about you and me. That chorus was written about you and me. And that night, that night that we were out there on that generator in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And 35 years later, Barry Jackson, fear not. You won't be alone. Oh. I still got your back no matter where you go.
Yeah. Well, that was, Glenn, and you're right. It was indicative of us. We knew we faced death. We knew we were facing death. And, you didn't shirk from it. You didn't turn to the right or the left. You moved out and you went straight into it. The Lord took care of us. We were blessed, but, we didn't shirk it. It was our duty, and we stood up and we moved out smartly.
That's the life of a soldier, though. That's nothing to just shake my head at. say, hey, I look at me. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what a real man does.
What a real man does, what a soldier does. And unfortunately, not everybody's built that way or able to even hold it that way. But that's what it is. And so when people say things like, thank you for your service, there's nothing to put back into anybody's face about that. I appreciate it. I think it's a little cliche. Probably most people don't put any thought into what they're really saying. It's just what you do nowadays, you know. But here's the truth.
Can I venture off just a little bit here?
Yeah.
You know, I feel the same way. I feel the same way a little bit. I feel a little guilty when people do that. And I feel guilty for police officers and our first responders. You know, we go to war, once every 5 years, once every, 10 years, 20 years. These guys, every day they walk out the front door of their house, they face death. And those are the guys that, thank you for your service.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. So you've been instrumental in my life even to this day. God's taken me on quite a journey. He's taken you on quite a journey. I ETS'd out of the Army and the National Guard in 1994. I just decided this was not for me forever.
Right.
I'd served. I'd done my part. I had an opportunity with business, growing my business with my dad. I had 2 kids. There wasn't a full-time opportunity that I could do. There was one point I thought I'd make the Army a career, that I'd go to OCS. In fact, I was on my way to OCS when we got called up for Desert Storm.
I forgot about, you're right. I forgot about that. Well, I'll tell you, the military, the Arkansas Guard lost a valuable asset by you not going to OCS.
Well, I appreciate that. And I don't know if that's true or it's not true. I just know that God has had his hand on my journey. But let's talk a little bit more about yours. So you retired with how many years?
I did 9 as a traditional guardsman, and then 23 as AGR. And so it was just a little over 32 years.
That's a long time.
It was a good life.
When did you retire?
Officially October 2013.
Okay. So you've been retired 12 years-ish.
Yes.
Through all that, you and I have stayed in contact.
Glenn, you really, truly have been my longest, closest, never left my side, always had my back friend.
Well, and I've loved you since I met you. I've got very few people, I can't even count. It doesn't even fill up one hand of people that I call a true friend. Yep. But Barry Allen Jackson, BA, is one of them. Yeah, BA, and he's the one at the top of the list.
That's brotherhood.
Oh, man. But you've had some challenges. Let's talk a little bit about that. So during Desert Storm, and I didn't even know this happened until you started having some problems from it. Talk to me about the night that you were behind an MLRS during the war.
Well, number one, never seen an MLRS, never knew what it was, didn't know its capabilities. So we were online one night, and everybody was firing. And all of a sudden, there was this purest white light, this overwhelming heat that kind of crushed my insides and picked me up, and I was flying through the air and flew into the front of a Hummer, hit the side of my head. I was extremely furious. I didn't know what had happened, had no idea what would happen, but I was furious because I couldn't find my weapon. We were online, and I was tied up in them dadgum camouflage nets. Finally found my weapon, got back up by my lieutenant, and we, resumed our duty. But
we got to interject here because people don't understand. You're talking about pitch darkness outside of that. Yeah, outside of that white light that goes already. That's kind of blinded you. But then you go into pitch darkness. Y'all, when you're in a desert 40 miles away from any light and there's no moon, boys, I'm telling boys and girls, you can't see your hand in front of your face. It's like being in the pit of a deepest cave that you've ever been in. And so you got blown up more or less and couldn't find your weapon and got picked.
Yeah, I was fierce. But anyhow, bled from my ear a little bit. I don't remember if it was both, bled from my nose. But here, I didn't know what had happened because I didn't know anything about an MLRS. So as time progressed, I started having what I called head rushes. You know, when you stand up, you get a little dizzy. And then through the years, they progressed more and more. They got longer and longer. And Glenn, when our unit converted to MLRS, and the first time I seen that rocket launch, it hit me what had happened. A launcher pulled up, because it's pitch dark, a launcher pulled up and fired a rocket, and we were in the backblast area. So when that rocket went off, that's what picked me up and threw me.
And they didn't see you and you didn't see them. And
nope.
Wow. See it. That was so close to a friendly fire accident.
It's possible, yeah.
Oh, easily possible.
Yeah. So through the years, that progressed, got worse and worse, and one thing led to another, and finally got diagnosed with epilepsy. And we got sent to the Epilepsy Center of Excellence at the VA in Houston, Texas. And that's where, you know, those specialists said, yeah, you got a little TBI, and it manifested and turned into epilepsy. But, you know, for years, I didn't know what had happened.
Well, people don't really, I mean, TBI and PTSD and all these acronyms are just thrown around an awful lot in the veteran world. TBI can jack you up, man. And it not always immediately. It's something that happens over a course of many years. So you're talking about 1991. You didn't start really having seizures until after you retired. Is that right? Around 2015?
Yeah, I was, excuse me. I was having seizures, but I didn't know what they were.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Grand Mal. It was something else.
Not at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was seizing up, but I didn't know what it was. But yeah, after I retired is when eventually I had a couple of Grand Mals, and, you know, eventually got sent to Houston, and that's where they go, yep, you got epilepsy.
Okay.
I'm on medication, and you know, it's taking care of it. I've been doing good.
I'd like to talk to your doctor about that, because I think there's something they could probably do to make you a little bit better looking. I don't know. But you've had a few other challenges since then. So about a year and a half ago, a little over that, you were dealing with a lot of back pain. About 2 years ago, I guess, dealing with a lot of back pain.
Yeah. Years of use and abuse, picking up things I shouldn't. You know, I had, my back was hurting, and, you know, MRIs and X-rays. You know, they seen, yeah, your discs, the 405, the 4L5 need to be fixed. So we found, excuse me, found a surgeon, and he came with great recommendations, and he briefed Julie and I up. Surgery will be about an hour and a half. You'll be up walking that day, and you'll go home the next.
Do you remember you and I having a conversation that week before, and I'm like, Barry, don't get surgery. Let's find another way. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right. So go on.
So went into surgery, and I woke up paralyzed from the waist down.
No, was that May of last year, May of 24?
May 13th of 2024. Paralyzed from the waist down, and no explanation. This, that, and the other, and basically was told that anytime you have surgery on the spinal, near the spinal cord, the nerves, it's dangerous, and those nerves probably got inflamed, and that's why you're paralyzed. And they didn't know if I was ever going to walk again.
I don't remember exactly when. It was the next day or the day after that you called me.
Maybe 2 days.
Yeah, it wasn't long. And I'm like, hey, BA, how you doing, man? What's going on? He said, I'm doing okay. You don't ever tell me you're doing okay. And I'm like, okay, dude, what's wrong? And you said, well, I'm in the hospital. So what the crap are you doing in the hospital? Had a back surgery. I'm like, Barry, no. He said, yeah, can't feel anything from the chest down. And I think I chewed your ass out a little bit then. Not on purpose, but it just came out.
Scolding.
Yeah, a little scolding. And we talked not very long. Barry, when we hung up that phone, I cried my eyes out because my brother may never walk again. All because of a dadgum doctor doing something that caused him not to be able to feel his legs, feel himself from the chest down. And it pissed me off. It made me sad. I scolded you, and then I coached you and tried to lift your spirits up. So don't you dadgum quit. Now it's time to go to work.
That's right.
And so I don't know, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So we're looking literally 18 months ago right now.
Yeah, I think we're 18 plus months, something like that.
Tell the people now, are you walking?
With a cane. I can't bend over and pick something up. I lose my balance. And I can't jump, but I'm walking with a cane. Excuse me. Let's go back to the surgery.
Uh-huh.
So many people, when they heard it, they'd go, oh, you should have sued. You should sue. No, I don't need to sue. I'm not that kind of guy, and I'm not after money. And the thing is, this doctor may have not done anything wrong, Glenn. It may have been a perfect surgery, and something just happened to my nerves.
What did happen? Because you told me this a few months ago. I've never heard of this in my life. But you found out
nobody has.
Recently. You found out something recently.
Or the surgeon, something happened, out of his control. But it wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything negligent. I'm not going to sue over that. Number one, I don't have time to waste on that. I've got to get focused on walking again. And they told me I may never walk again. I told them, I said, let me tell you something. By God, in 6 months, I'll be walking.
Uh-huh.
Now, I was behind a walker and took a step. I consider that walking.
Right.
So we tried to find out what happened. The best I got from anybody was that the nerve got touched and was inflamed. Okay. I'm not satisfied. Actually, that little bride of mine is not satisfied.
There you go. Let's get to the truth.
Yeah. So eventually we found a doctor. We did an extensive MRI and found out I had a stroke in my spinal cord.
Yeah.
So for some reason, the blood got shut off to that portion of my spinal cord, and a spinal cord stroke. So at least now I know what happened, which doesn't change anything really. But now we know, and we're still just working hard, and I'll be walking without a cane and on my own.
Well, they told you it'd be 18 months to 2 years. If you were going to recover, it would be, and then you would be as far as you're going to go. I don't want to hear that crap.
No.
I want to see you doing some PT and doing a 2-mile run. Okay? Yeah. Just because I want to see you suffer a little bit. I don't want to run 2 miles, but I want to watch you do it.
I don't know 2 miles is in my future, but
Well, Barry, old son,
never give up.
No, you can't. You can't. Guaranteed 2 ways you're gonna fail. Number one, if you never try, and number two, if you quit before you're to the end. That's the only way you're going to fail in this life. Other than that, there's always hope. There's always hope. And you've shown me that with your life, my friend. So we got a few more things to talk about. We've already gone an hour and a half. I knew this wasn't going to be just an hour. So that happened to you in May last year. I had already talked to you about being in the music video for Finish This Fight at that point. I wanted you to come and take part in it and be the one to lead the oath of office or the oath for soldiers.
Listen,
And then that happened. Let's talk about that. So that was in May. July the 22nd, I began to film in Woodstock, Georgia. And old Barry Allen Jackson and his young stud of a son, who is, by the way, a helicopter pilot.
helicopter pilot. He's a Warren. He's a W3.
He's a 3?
Yeah.
That gum, I don't like him anymore. He's already gained way too much rank.
Yeah.
But you guys showed up in Woodstock, Georgia,
Mhm.
to help with the music video. And here's the stories of some heroes. So you were just a couple of months outside of having that stroke in your spinal cord. You really couldn't walk much yet.
No.
You could stand, but even standing, you had to hold on to something.
Yeah, I needed major support just to stand.
Yeah. But you came and brought your dress blues, and you took part in this thing. We had
My
another
brother called.
What's that?
My brother called.
Well, yeah. But see, that's something I really want to focus on. Your brother called and you came. I gave you the out. I said, dude, I get it. You can't be here. Don't worry about it. You're like, hell no, I'm coming. And you did. There's another guy that did the same thing. So this young man, Joshua Holm, that we just saw the video on a while ago, 3 weeks prior to the music video, and he'd been planning to come and be part of it the whole time too. 3 weeks prior to the shooting of the music video, he had an esophageal tear. 17 centimeters out of 23 centimeters of his esophagus ripped open. And he literally was moments away from death.
Yeah.
He'd lost so much blood.
Yes.
And he was on his deathbed, had to have an emergency surgery, rebuilding his esophagus 3 weeks before. And you know, that sucker and his wife drove the day after he got out of the hospital, drove from Dallas, Texas to Woodstock, Georgia. He couldn't even talk.
Oh.
He was not able to speak. He was using a board and writing down what that stuff that he was talking about. And that sucker came and took part in that music video as well. Y'all, if y'all aren't paying attention to what I'm saying right now, this is not just buddies doing something for buddies. I didn't know Joshua that well, and he had no idea we were going to take a direction to help him get to walking again. He simply did that from one brother to another.
Yeah.
And Barry Jackson simply did that. It wasn't simple. Dude, it wasn't simple at all. It was hard for you to get around. You couldn't even stay at the Airbnb with us because we didn't have a drive-in or a walk-in shower for you to be able to clean up, that kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy thing. But you boys did that for Glenn Baker, for your brother. And I will never forget that. Never forget that. Here's how you know your buddy is a warrior. Is when the little things don't matter, they're gonna plow through and be there for you. That's rare, Barry Jackson. And you are one rare human being, and you are my friend, and you are my brother, and I love you. Let's not get all emotional. Too late, maybe. I want to talk real quickly about what's going on in the world today. And we just kind of hit on it a while ago. We had a period over the last 5 years where we had people in authoritative positions in the military that were naturally born men wearing dresses and earrings and saying they were women in a position of authority, like colonels, majors, captains in our military. We had physical PT requirements that had been lowered to the point that anybody could pass it. Brother, that was not a strong military. Wasn't a strong military at all. In fact, if we don't have to be held to the same standards that have been around for decades and decades, I would consider us weak If it ever came to combat, we were screwed, brother. That's changing. What are your thoughts on all that, man? How do you feel?
Once again, thank God for Donald Trump, President Trump. Thank God for his cabinet, and especially from my heart, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who is bringing back common sense, merit-based military. I'm not even sure where to keep going with that.
I didn't know what to expect from Hegseth, honestly. He was a major.
Yeah,
some combat experience. They don't ever put majors in charge of something like that.
No.
It's always these generals. And here's the problem with the generals. And here's the problem nationwide. You get to a position of authority that high up, somebody probably got something on you, or they're going to get something on you. And because in the military, it becomes political when you start talking about flag level officers, 2, 3, 4 stars. You don't get there just by being a stud. You've scratched some backs and kissed some butts to get there. So they're never going to put a major in that's a fought in combat, that is that's in great shape, that hasn't paid those dues, if you will, and it's not beholden to anybody. And I think that's where Trump did a great thing. He knew enough about Hegseth's character. Well, he was an alcoholic, Glenn. Yeah. When's the last time you've seen somebody had screwed up and got something in their life they can point to? But he overcame some of that.
Years ago when he was a young man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's talk about RFK Jr. Well, he was a drug addict. Well, yeah, but you're talking when he was 20-something years old. The man's 70-something and way fitter than I am. I mean, I ain't going to take my shirt off and stand next to RFK Jr. Not right now. I do have the body of a Greek god, but it's underneath about 3 inches of inert material right now. So I didn't know what to expect from Hector, but I got to tell you, I'm pretty daggone proud of it.
Oh, me too. I don't have the words how brokenhearted and disheartening I've watched the military change. And when I started seeing the change was the day that Bill Clinton did the don't ask, don't tell crap.
Yeah.
That I've watched for 32 plus years, our military just go to shit because of the and I didn't know it back then, but the DEI woke crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we weren't aware of why. We just saw what it was.
Yeah.
So, brother, we're going to probably wrap this thing up. I want to give you the floor though, because one of the things, as you've got a little bit more silver in your beard and not so much red in your hair, you've attached yourself to is finding young men that you can mentor. There's some young men going to be watching this today. What would you, as a guy that's seen some stuff, man, you've been through combat, you've trained soldiers, you've raised children, now grandchildren. And you don't have any greats yet, do you?
Not yet.
Good. Put that off for a while, because I don't want to hear him be calling you great grandfather.
I don't have
But you've done it. You and that beautiful bride of yours have helped some folks. What do you got to say to this young generation, 16, 17, 19, 20 young men that maybe they haven't had somebody like you to help them? What do you got to say to them?
Glenn, and it's so hard for young kids to have the opportunities that you and I had. And I say opportunity, haul hay, mow lawns, work in the grocery store, in fast food, that we don't have that opportunity much. These young kids don't. The other thing is fathers have failed to be fathers. I've seen too many of them over the years just want to be their friend. God didn't design you to be their friend. He meant you to be their dad. You give them a min, max, right, and left. And when they step outside that boundary, you put a boot in their ass when they need it and a pat on the back when they deserve it. I implore dads, young dads, grandfathers, to raise up men who will stand in the gap and raise up men. Glenn, I didn't come up with this on my own. I read a book one time called Raising a Modern Day Knight. It was before I had a son. And it's by a guy named Lewis. Can't remember the first name. And one of the things that we talked about is knowing yourself, knowing who you are. Is I grew up not knowing what a real man was. When will I be a man? How will I know a man? What does society tell me when I'll be a man? Well, society tells me the first time I have sex with a girl, now I'm a man. That's as far as a thing from the truth. So in this book, it gives you the definition of a real man, and it's the acronym REAL. R is for reject passivity. Don't sit around and go, oh, okay, whatever will be, will be. E is for expect the greater reward. You don't do this for earthly praise. You do it for godly praise. A is accept responsibility. You don't ever blame somebody else. You don't ever whine and complain and make excuses. You accept responsibility. You go, up, that's mine. I own that one. I screwed it up. And L is lead courageously. Fear not, lead courageously. I gave that to my son. He memorized it. My grandson, who is probably, I think he's about 7, he knows it. You walk up to my grandson and you go, hey, what's the definition of a real man? He'll rattle that off in a minute because he has a definition of a real man. So I implore fathers, grandfathers, single moms, find a man who will raise up a real man. Give him a definition, give him a purpose, give him a mission. Because if you don't have a target, you'll miss it every time. So
that's some outstanding advice, and I'm gonna piggyback onto that, guys. If you are, if maybe you don't have a real man in your life, maybe you don't know where to go. Don't look in the gangs. The gangs will try to fill that up. They're gonna say, "Come here, boy, I love on you, but hey, you're gonna have to earn this. You're gonna have to go rob this guy. You're gonna have to do." And people find those things. I mean, that's pretty common in the inner city. Find out what you're passionate about. Find what you're passionate about.
yes,
Look around and find somebody that's doing what you're passionate about. And just, hey, no fear. Go and approach that man and get to know him and shadow him. I don't care if you're making a dime, if it costs you a dime, shadow that man. Find somebody that can be your mentor. And I guarantee you there's some of them out there. And maybe they don't even know that they're going to be a mentor. But if you approach a man and say, you know, sir, oh, sir, you got to say, sir, you daggum right. You got to say, sir.
No, sir.
I've been watching you. I'm really intrigued with what you're doing. Could we have a chat?
Yeah.
Or could we have a cup of coffee? Or could you tell me more? Boys and girls, and especially boys, that's going to reach the man's heart that will take you under his wing and help you get what you want, as long as it's the same thing God wants. And that's a whole other story, man. But Barry, you're something else, dude. And I'm proud of you. I know you. I know you're going to get up out of that thing and walk and do what you want to do, because I've seen you struggling. I've seen you fight. I've seen you working out. I've seen you pushing, and I just know your daggum character. And I also know that if you sit down too long and feel sorry for yourself, Julie's going to come put a boot up your ass.
That's
and
right.
you got a helpmate that's going to help you, and that's a valuable thing.
Yes.
Yeah. You got any last words? Anything you'd like to end with?
Glenn, can I close this in a little prayer?
I'd be happy for you too. But when we get done, I want you to stick around and we're going to chat in the back room real quick. Go ahead.
Roger that. Lord God in heaven, I just thank you for the awesome God you are, Lord Jesus. And thank you for your that you're our Savior. Holy Spirit, you are as powerful as you are beautiful. And I just pray your spirit over Glenn and his movement. I pray over this Joshua, Lord, just, and again, over our nation. Our nation needs a revival. So just bless those that are watching, and you be glorified in all we do. It is in by the power of the blood of the Lamb. All right, brother.
Amen, y'all. Understand, we're going to have a good show tomorrow night. I'll have Scott Oatsville on at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we're kicking back off to finish this fight hour. I've been a little busy last month. Have y'all missed me? I missed you. Just know this as we go off: Uncle Glenn loves you, and I'll see you on the other side. We're out,
brother.
Forward, halt, left, 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 right. Your left, 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 right. Down,
Arkansas boy with a lifelong plan. Took the oath like his old man, then turned around proud and shook his hand. L.A. kid stood right behind, took a deep breath and signed on the line, while tears streamed from his mama's eyes. They hopped right up on that Greyhound bus, swapping stories. They laughed and cussed, and they talked about the girls that they loved. They made a pact, shined up their boots, time for call before it hit the news. No clue what